We gonna get this day started off right, huh? And one more time, good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live, thanks for that. If you were checking us out later, as we had to restart that video, at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We do upload these shows there. We have audio and video versions just in case you either want to listen or watch. That'll be your choice. But again, glad you're here this morning. It's relatively clear out there with regard to the traffic. Nothing crazy going on, as most folks have kind of gotten an idea of what's essential, what isn't. Of course, schools remain closed, at least right now until April 13th. We'll talk about that a little more in a second. It's currently 50 degrees. Avoided that nasty weather in some parts of Livingston Parish, and it never really got that bad, just a lot of rain. But we did get the temperature drop. As mentioned, it's currently 50 degrees. 75 degrees is your high today, so it's not going to get too warm. It's going to be a pretty pleasant day. Going to get cold again tonight, 52 degrees again overnight. Excuse me. So yesterday, a little bit of shock to the system. 5,237 cases in Louisiana. According to Dr. Bu, who is the director of the Department of Health in Louisiana, they think that it might have been a log jam of some commercial tests that just hadn't come in yet. They're still kind of looking into that, but so far to date, that was the largest single day jump that's ever happened. Now, of course, you know, we've been doing this a little over 3 weeks now. So saying that was the largest single day jump doesn't mean much. We could get larger jumps later and that sort of thing. But for it to go up 1,200, got a lot of people's attention. We're now up to 239 statewide deaths, 1,355 patients in the hospital. 438 of those patients are on ventilators. Now, we had the single highest jump in cases in Livingston Parish, if you will. On 136 total tests, we have 23 positive cases of Livingston Parish residents. It doesn't necessarily mean they're here, but we have 23 positive cases of coronavirus in Livingston Parish residents. Now, Our Lady of the Lake announced yesterday that they will be opening a testing center at their campus in Walker. It'll be a commercial testing center. Mr. David Gray is going to be heading out there today, kind of get the lay of the land, see if they'll walk him through the steps for people if they're going in to get tested and to see how many tests they're going to run per day. It'll be interesting to see how that commercial site is going to work. It is open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. to go get a COVID-19 test. Again, that is at the Walker campus of Our Lady of the Lake, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So please keep those times and dates in mind. Spread the word if you know someone that's sick, that hasn't been approved for a test. You do have to have a doctor's approval, but remember those mitigation efforts. Part of that is stay home if you're sick and, use telehealth. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go see your doctor. You can get on Skype or on the phone with them, see if you can get clearance to go to that testing site to get tested. Let's jump into those mitigation efforts real quick as we're talking about COVID-19. Please remember to wash your hands for 20 seconds at least. Control your cough with your elbow or a tissue. Please remember to keep 6 feet distance between you and others in public areas. Disinfect common surfaces. This is at home or work. And stay home if you're sick, and utilize telehealth or the phone to call your doctor if necessary. So please remember that testing center is opening in Walker. The governor yesterday had because of this shock to the system, they're changing their models every day. He first reaffirmed that his stay-at-home order will last through April 30th. Now, we're going to have to wait for a written proclamation before officials here in Livingston Parish sort of make a call about school, government, those sorts of things, law enforcement, how things are going to operate. But he expects that would be the governor for that written proclamation to come through either Thursday or Friday. So expect some decisions to be made by local officials. They may already be talking about them. We may just get the official word once they have that document in their hands. So we'll see how that affects operations here in Livingston Parish. Now, with those dates, we've talked about these dates before. It's about critical infrastructure failing in New Orleans. Now, we had gotten up to, because of a couple of slow days of case reporting, April 7th was when the ventilators were going to run out in New Orleans, which gave us a couple of days to try to get some of these that are on back order. Because of this new jump, you're now looking at April 5th. And beds were supposed to run out April 10th, or the capacity was supposed to run out April 10th. That's been backed up to April 8th. 14,000 ventilators have been ordered. Of course, the governor said that he's ordered more than he needs, partly because they're coming in very slowly. Only 192 have been received, and of course, were immediately distributed. And he is expecting, per President Donald Trump, 150 from the federal stockpile. Now, when they'll get here, the governor's not entirely sure, but they will be distributed immediately. Those 14,000, we're going to try to get some clarification on whether or not those contracts or purchase orders can be canceled, transferred, that kind of thing. So we're going to see maybe today at his press conference how that's going to work. Now, why is that such a big deal? Why are those dates so important? Remember, we're now back to April 5th, which is just early next week. It's 4 days from now. Today, happy April 1st. Please don't do an April Fool's joke. Unless you're a jokester kind of household. But April 5th is when ventilators are going to run out. April 8th for beds. So what happens then? You have a lot of case growth in EBR and Ascension, as well as St. Tammany. Soon, there will be a testing site coming online in Hammond as well. We're going to see these cases grow in other areas, but a lot of these patients are going to be outflowed. They're going to have to find other hospitals to go to. If New Orleans can't handle them, they'll have to go somewhere else to get treatment. That's the last thing we want in this area. Livingston Parish is decidedly underserved in terms of healthcare. And so right now, Our Lady of the Lake has an emergency room. There are roughly 15 rooms there. 4 of them are currently ICU capable, which is intensive care, and they have about 2 ventilators. Now, they can surge that capacity, but if you sit there and think about it, right now, without even having a testing site, we have 23 cases here. Even if the usual percentage, which is about 30%, that's 8 people, go into the hospital, all of a sudden we're at 50% bed capacity, and we've overwhelmed our ventilator capacity. And I'm sorry, the weather change has my allergies acting up. I'm sorry about that. There we go. So you have to remember, these New Orleans spilling over into other areas is going to be problematic for Livingston Parish. So it is imperative that you stay home and practice these mitigation efforts. I will definitely be washing my hands pretty thoroughly and wiping this computer down after clearing my throat. Please remember to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. Maintain 6 feet of distance between yourself and others in public if you have to go to places like the grocery store, the pharmacy, or your doctor. Control your cough with your elbow or a tissue. That includes sneezing. Disinfect common surfaces at home and at work, and stay home if you're sick. Utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor. Yesterday, the president had a press conference to sort of back up what he had said Sunday, which was, and when I say back up, I don't mean change position. I mean sort of provide some information that says why he has extended the nationwide social distancing order through April 30th. And a lot of that came from the modeling that the government has, the federal government has, that says anywhere from 200 to 400,000 people are going to die from coronavirus. And a lot of this is going to happen over the next couple of weeks, according to the president. He's asking people, please, 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 to stay home in certain states where you're supposed to stay home. Please, keep the mitigation efforts and the social distancing in your mind at all times. Try to stay well. Try to keep your family safe. We're all moving through this together. Stick, as Coach Ed Ogeron said, stick with the game plan. Of course, this comes after President Trump had hoped that the country would get back to work right after Easter, at least a lot of places that could, but it does not look like that's going to be the case. Of course, we've all seen that they have signed that $2.2 trillion stimulus. Congressman Garrett Graves announced yesterday that the Paycheck Protection Program, which is that 7A SBA loan that we discussed, applications are now available. You can check out our website, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus, to check out where you can go apply for that as a business. Also, if you're looking to apply for your $1,200 check or your $1,200 plus $500 for your kid, please remember there are certain income rules for that. But you can head to irs.gov, fill out you need to go ahead and submit your most recent tax return, at least according to Congressman Garrett Graves, and then you can apply for that check reimbursement. Now, please remember that check is a rebate on future tax returns. It is not necessarily free money. You're just getting it early. It's almost like an interest-free loan from the government. So please keep that in mind when you're thinking about taxing in the future. Perhaps if you're continuing to work, maybe you don't need the check. But that's, again, those are personal financial choices, and that's up to you. Yesterday, Parish President Leighton Ricks got on the phone with several media outlets to announce to the world that he intends to shut down waterways if these public gatherings continue to happen. This past weekend, a photo surfaced from the prop stop on the Tickfall River, wherein a large gathering of boats was there. People were hanging out, drinking, that sort of thing. And Parish President Leighton Ricks says, if this happens again, I'm going to shut down the waterways. So there are a lot of families who are utilizing their boats and getting and using the river to get outside, do family activities and stuff. And those families, as well as Parish President Leighton Ricks, are asking people to be responsible. Don't do things like that. Really don't want to have to shut down the water, but it's just, there's no reason to have to keep law enforcement going up and down the rivers when they could just try to stop people from getting on the river. So please remember that. Don't go out there and get crazy on the river as a big group of people. Try to keep social distancing practices in effect. Try to stay away from other folks. The legislature met very briefly yesterday. They had adjourned earlier in March, and they said that they were going to come back together March 31. They kept their word for all of about an hour. They came together to basically adjourn the session again. This time it's through April 30th, so a whole month as opposed to about 2-3 weeks. This is just a match with the governor's stay-at-home proclamation as well as the president's social distancing proclamation. I'm trying to make sure that these legislators are staying safe. What that means for the legislature at this point, it's a fluid situation, just like a lot of this is. They were going to try to get the budget solved, but if you were looking for insurance changes, tort reform, that sort of thing, this year is probably not going to be the year for that. If they do come back together in a certain amount of time, it'll be mostly to focus on trying to get a budget together, especially with things like sales taxes dropping as they are. Price of oil has dropped as it has. It's going to be a difficult time for the legislature to hammer out a responsible budget. So please keep that in mind. They will be trying to come back to meet in that first full week of May. So please keep an eye on that, as we will as well. Want to remind folks, 5,237 cases in Louisiana, 239 deaths, 1,355 patients in the hospital, 438 of those are on ventilators. 23 cases in Livingston Parish residents. They may not be here, but 136 total tests. That number is going to start ratcheting up again. You're looking at a testing center at Our Lady of the Lake, Walker. It is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Today is the first day. Of course, Mr. David Gray is going to be out there keeping an eye on what's going on. Going to try to get some video walkthrough of how the process works and see how many tests they're going to be doing per day. Please remember, you need to get in touch with your doctor via telehealth to get clearance to go to this site to get these tests done. So please remember that. Again, at Our Lady of the Lake in Walker, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please remember the mitigation efforts: washing your hands for 20 seconds or more, staying 6 feet away from people, which is social distancing, controlling your cough with your elbow or a tissue, disinfect common surfaces at home or at work, and stay home if you're sick, and stay home at all if you can from work if there's any way that you can. We're trying to keep this thing from spreading too far. Please remember what we talked about earlier. If it overwhelms New Orleans, it will start spilling into nearby areas that just don't have the capacity to handle that kind of population when they already have cases occurring here. So please remember, these social distancing measures and these mitigation efforts are important. As Coach Ed Ogeron said, we are resilient people. Stick with the game plan because we are all in this together. One last time with your traffic. It's relatively clear today. Not a whole lot of traffic going on. Looks like a lot of people are obeying more so the essential workers rule and that sort of thing. So please try to stay home if you can. Of course, there's no school at the moment. We didn't get a whole lot of severe weather yesterday, just some heavy rains in some places. But we did get the cooler weather. 50 degrees is your current temperature, 75 degrees your high, 52 degrees your overnight low, so it is going to stay cool. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays. We also have a website, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We have a free part of that website, which is called www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus, which is where we're pushing all the information that myself, David Gray, and Rob DeArmond can possibly pull together in any given day. We, a lot of times by about 6 p.m., all three of us are pretty burned out. But we're doing our best to keep you guys updated about what's going on around us, because pretty soon it's going to be here. So please keep an eye on the patterns and things that are occurring elsewhere as we prepare for this commercial site to open, and possibly for our tests and positive cases to increase. Please also remember that there is an app to go along with our website. We are signing off today. We're going to be, as mentioned, Mr. David Gray is going to be up at Our Lady of the Lake Walker to kind of get a run through of how this thing's going to work, and there will be a press conference this afternoon. So plenty of information flowing out today. We hope you have a great day. Please remember to practice the mitigation efforts and social distancing, and we will check you out tomorrow morning.